This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Everywhere you turn, it's the same old sports talk, the same headlines, the same news, and the same boring information. This podcast is here to change all of that. We bring you hot sports takes, winning sports betting strategy and picks, reliable gaming industry news, and breaking interviews with some of the biggest names in sports business. My name is Ryan Newpel, and welcome to the Noop Sports Show. Hey, welcome to the NoopSports.com podcast. We want to welcome you here to our very first episode. I'm Ryan, and my co-host is on the line as well. Rodney, you there?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Not much. Excited to be here. Very first episode of our new project, Noop Sports. It's a pretty exciting time with football going on, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a real exciting time. I mean, the National Football League getting going with the big Thursday night game. College football last week was fantastic. I don't love the slate in college football this weekend. I had some pretty yawning games, but of course we'll talk about some of them, and then of course the big Sunday games in the National Football League.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I want to thank everybody, or anybody if you're listening. I know this is the first episode, and I just wanted to give a little background of our project here. We have Noop Sports that we've developed, myself and my brother Rodney and my dad, Tom. You'll see him around. We talk sports. We follow sports all the time. For any of you that know us, that's all we do. We're a sports family. We're always talking it and doing things. So, this project was really put together so we could kind of centralize all that talk and try to bring it all together and really add value to your life as well. We do a lot in the sports betting area, a lot in the daily fantasy area. We're into all sorts of stuff, anything that, you can kind of make money on sports. And so we really want to try to help the audience, help the readers, help the listeners really understand how to make money on sports. And so that's kind of the mission we have. And this is the first podcast, and we're going to bring you, just tons of content. You're going to find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on podcasts like we are here today, on our website. You're going to find us on Periscope, everywhere. So I'm excited you're listening. I'm excited for this project. And Rodney, I'm really excited that you really helped spearhead this thing. And I know you're excited about the project as well.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime we get a chance to talk sports, and like you said, the Periscope videos, the Facebook Lives, we'll try to keep them short, but we want to give you some information to help you with your betting. I mean, any information you gather, you want to take advantage of that and beat the books. That's all of our goals. We want to beat the books, definitely.
Absolutely. So anyway, I won't do that background every time, but that's where we're at, and that's why we're here today. And I hope you enjoy it, and we'll get right into it. So NFL kicks off tomorrow. Well, this may be published on Thursday, so kicks off on Thursday. Panthers at Broncos. Carolina comes in as road favorites, 3-point road favorites. Rodney, what do you think of that line, and what do you think of this game to kick off the season?
I'm just not sold that the Denver Broncos are really going to start their Super Bowl defense with a guy by the name of Trevor Siemian as the quarterback. I don't like the move. I know they won the Super Bowl last year, but you got to realize the Super Bowl was won with Peyton Manning as the quarterback, and I don't care how poorly Peyton Manning played in that game or any game, it was still Peyton Manning. I like Carolina to win this game. I think they got revenge on their mind. Cam Newton, obviously the defending MVP. He's got a few more weapons this year. Benjamin's back with him. That defense is still good. Josh Norman's gone, but that defense is still going to be good. I'm actually going. I don't know how rare this is going to be, but I'm going to go with the road favorite against the Super Bowl champion. That's odd to say. A road favorite against the Super Bowl champion. I like Carolina around a field goal favorite in that game.
Yeah, that's, this is one of those games that I just wish it wasn't the first game of the year, because it's one game that I just feel like I should stay away from, personally. But it's the first game of the year. I can't stay away from it. I'm going to want to, play it. I'm going to want to bet it. That sounds bad, but I'm going to want to. And, I like Carolina as well, but it just doesn't feel right taking a road favorite at the Super Bowl champions. That defense is going to be jacked up for Denver. I am leery of it, but I will probably be on Carolina as well. I'm not sure where that line is moving. I know it's at 3 right now. I'd love to get it at like 2 or 2.5 or something like that. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll check out all of our sports books that we have listed on our site and kind of see where that line ends up. But I'll probably be on Carolina reluctantly as well. It's not one of my most confident ones, but you know what? I'm going to be camped out in front of the TV watching this game because you couldn't ask for a better, I guess, game in general to start off the season.
Yeah, I mean Carolina last year, we saw how good they were in the regular season. Obviously, a poor Super Bowl. Von Miller kind of destroyed them there in the Super Bowl. You know, the Panthers 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 games on grass. You know, we got these trends that we can go to every time. You know, grass, turf, all that stuff. Carolina's pretty good in situations like this. Now, not great on the road, but again, Trevor Siemian is the starting quarterback, and that's the number one key for me. Quarterbacks win games in the National Football League. I like Carolina -3.
There you go. That's the first game of the year coming up Thursday for us. So, hey, let's actually shift gears here. We're gonna kind of go in date chronological order, and let's talk about Saturday. I know you just mentioned last weekend. I mean, last weekend was fabulous for college football. I was just sitting in front of my TV, just staring, watching those games, thinking, this is life. This is great. That Sunday night game, the Monday night game. I mean, Saturday had a handful of just awesome games, some huge matchups. I think, you know, they were touting it as being one of the best first weeks of college football. I think it lived up to that hype, don't you think?
Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. It just, you know, we thought we saw a great game Sunday night with Notre Dame, Texas, and we turned around and saw a great game Monday night with Florida State, Ole Miss. You know, Florida State looked dead in that game and then just completely dominated the second half. And that's not even talking about, you know, the thing about it is, you know, Houston with the big win kind of got overlooked because they won so early in the day on Saturday. I mean, they won 11 o'clock Central Time on Saturday. And then all the games Saturday night, all the action Sunday night, all the action Monday. I think a lot of people are forgetting about the Houston Cougars and their big win over Oklahoma. But as great as Week 1 was, Week 2 not so much. I don't love the matchups this weekend, but plenty of games we could still bet on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see very many that I like, and I actually don't think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe there's a single game that there's a top 25 matched up against another top 25 this week. Is that correct?
There is not. I mean, there are some teams that maybe foul the top 25 that you know maybe play, but it's just not a very good slate. I mean, there's going to be favorites that just roll over their competition. I mean, Alabama at home, they play that Western Kentucky team that obviously scores a bunch of points, but they're essentially not that good. I mean, a game like Kentucky at Florida, maybe one of the best competitive games of the weekend. Yeah, it's just not a real good slate for Week 2.
Yeah, so let's still talk about a few of those games. I mean, just because it's not, you know, top 25 guys, you know, listeners, you got to understand, everybody loves to bet on the big games and bet on the big top 25 games, but there's really a lot of value in some of these smaller games, some of these smaller teams. If you start to really study and understand some of these conferences and just really dive into some of these teams and learn them, you can really get an edge on some of those teams, because you know everybody is betting the big games, everybody is, but nobody's betting on the Nickels and the UCFs and those type of teams. And I think if you really understand those teams and try to bet on some of those, you may find a little more success betting some of those. So that being said, give me a game or two that you really like or that you may be taking this week, Rod.
Well, you mentioned UCF. But they're going to get killed, and Michigan's going to cover that spread. And I said that last week about Hawaii, and I mean it again. You know, a lot of people, well, you know, UCF's better than Hawaii. Who cares? Michigan, I'm able to get them at 33, 34 points. I know that line's moved up to almost 35.5, which could be a little tricky because that is 5 touchdowns now. You know, you could win the game 49-14 and still not cover. But I'm telling you, Harbaugh and crew are going to score 60 on the nights. Michigan minus 34.5, if you can get it at that. I love that value on Saturday. But I skipped one. Friday night, Louisville is at Syracuse. Now, I was against Louisville last week, and I got beat. But Syracuse, a 14.5 point favorite. They've won they've won 5 straight home games against the spread, dating back to last year, of course. At 14.5, I think that's great value on Syracuse. Syracuse not as bad as I think people want to put them out to be. You know, the over-under on that game's actually moved up about 4 points, close to 70. We know Louisville's going to score. I believe Syracuse is going to score. I'm going to take Syracuse, and if I can get them at plus 14.5, that hook means a lot to me. I like 14.5 for Syracuse in that game.
Okay, and I'm going to touch on a game that I think you mentioned earlier, and we may have differing opinions on this. I'm not sure. But I'm going to look at, or at least want to discuss with you, the Kentucky-Florida game, because I agree with you. I think that's one of the maybe best games on the slate. I don't know if you can call that one of the best games, but it is a conference rivalry game. Kentucky was supposed to be better this year. They looked decent last week, and then they just crumbled in that second half last week and just really didn't play well to lose that game. They go to Florida, so they go to the Swamp and try to play a Florida team that, they can't score. They never can score. They're just not a high-scoring team, but their defense is good, and it's swarming, and it's stifling, and I don't see Kentucky being able to compete with that. That atmosphere in Gainesville is going to be stupid. I think, the spread's at 16.5. If you can get that at like 16, I'm going to be taking Florida. I know they can't score many points, but I don't see Kentucky scoring more than 14. Maybe 7-10 is more realistic. So I like Florida to cover that 16.5. What do you think about that? Are you on my side? Or are you against me on that one?
Honestly, I think this is probably going to be one I'll stay away from because I can't decide either way. I mean, Kentucky broke my heart last week. I mean, just absolute blowout first half, and then just absolute demoralizing second half. Didn't even score in the second half of that game. And if they don't, like you said, if they can't score in the second half against the Southern Mississippi team, they're going to have a tough time scoring against the Gators. I mean, a few trends out there that I like to look at. Kentucky 17-35 in their last 52 conference games against the spread. That's not very good. Kentucky 7-21 against the spread in their last 28 road games. That's not very good. On the other side, I mean, Florida's got some stats that we don't like either. So, one example for Florida is 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 home games. I'm staying away from this game. I mean, a 16-point spread. I get your side. I think I'm just staying away from Kentucky out Florida.
There's never anything wrong with that. Staying away is it's a good strategy, especially if you're not liking it. It burnt me on a couple last week. There was a couple that, I liked all week. We talked and you liked them, and then I just started looking into it a little more, and I couldn't quite pull the trigger on it. I think Texas was one of them that I'd been talking about all week, and then all of a sudden I just got to the point where, I think I better stay away, and I did, and then I was, pissed off at the end of the day because I actually stayed away. But, there's never any harm. If you're not confident in your bet, don't place it. You don't need to place it just for the sake of placing it. Be confident in what you're betting. So the last game I want to talk about is probably a little closer to you, and this kind of goes to my point of teams that you understand and that you know and that you hear of. You may have a good feel for. I have a question for you. How is the Fighting Illini of Illinois this year with Lovie Smith there? They're 1-0. North Carolina comes into Illinois, and Carolina's 8.5-point favorites at Illinois. I know you have. A lot of people that you talk to, you follow Illinois, and people that you talk to follow Illinois, so you probably know a lot about them. I'd like to get your thoughts on that game, and should they be almost 9-point dogs at home in this one?
Well, funny thing is it started around 10 at most sports books, so I think a lot of the money is coming in on Illinois. It's hard to tell how good Illinois is. I mean, Murray State was not very good. Illinois was getting past the first level of defenders from Murray State, and nobody else was there. North Carolina's not going to be that way. North Carolina's speed is going to be much, much faster than they saw last week. North Carolina's coming off a pretty stunning loss. I mean, if you look at that game, North Carolina should have beat Georgia. Had a lead against Georgia. Wouldn't call it a choke, but pretty much blew that game against Georgia. Unfortunately for the Fighting Illini, I think they're going to run into a team that's better than they are. The crowd's going to be awfully excited in Champaign. I mean, football is starting to come back to Champaign. Now they're still not very good. Keep in mind, if Illinois wins this game, they have an opportunity of going 4 or 5-0 but I don't think they do win this game. I think if I can get this game at 9, anything under 10, I'm going with North Carolina. I think North Carolina's team speed, their running game, Ryan Switzer as their wide receiver, I think is going to be the big factor in this game. I'm gonna side towards North Carolina, but I do think this will be a 2-score game. So I'll take North Carolina -9, -9.5, whatever we want to get it at.
Okay. Well, that's about all the college I have. You have any other college talk for Saturday?
I was going to mention Iowa State. I mean, Iowa just renewed Kirk Ferentz's contract. If you look at Iowa's schedule, Iowa could be a top 5 team by the end of this year. And Iowa State, they're not. And they could be a bottom 5 team in college football. That line's only 15 points. Now, Iowa didn't cover the spread last week against Miami, Ohio, but I like them to cover the spread. This is a rivalry game. And now keep in mind, there's 3 big schools in the state of Iowa. Northern Iowa, and Iowa State. Well, Northern Iowa is non-BCS team. They beat Iowa State last week. That's not good. Iowa, the best team in the state, going to smoke Iowa State. -15. I'd take it at -20. I love the Hawkeyes to smoke the Cyclones.
You heard it here first. Noob Sports. You heard it.
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. Last week Michigan was that number. I just think Iowa.
You got it. Yeah, you did nail that Michigan one, and I tailed you on that one. I didn't know much about those teams, and I was happy I did because that game was over at halftime. It was like 30-0 in the first 20 minutes of the game, and it was just done. So
yeah, absolute blowout.
Those are the best types of bets when you make a bet and it's over by halftime, and you're like, there is no way this is changing. Although I felt that way on Florida State a little bit too. The Florida State Ole Miss game, I'm like, oh man, Ole Miss, they look good, and then Florida State just waxed them in that second half.
Yeah, but those were 2 good teams. Hawaii not good, Iowa State not good. There's a big difference there. It's going to be absolute blowout city.
Good point. Hey, let's shift gears again. So we go from NFL to college, back to the NFL. Week 1, Sunday, everybody's got to be pumped. I mean, we can spend all day talking about these games, talking about the daily fantasy slates, talking about the bets that are good. I think what we're going to do is just run through each game real quick here, and we'll spend a little bit of time talking about maybe the bets we like, if we don't like any of them, if anybody stands out from a daily fantasy perspective. We can throw that out as well, and we'll just go through each game and then see what we can find here. So let's start with the Packers at the Jaguars. We got Green Bay coming in on the road as 5.5-point favorites at Jacksonville. I know a lot of people think Jacksonville's better this year. They really are high on the Jaguars and some of their offensive talent. Can they? I mean, this is a tough test to start the season. Can they hold off the Packers? What do you think?
No. They cannot.
Short story, no.
Packers are my Super Bowl champion. I gave it away the other night. Packers are my Super Bowl champion. I love the Packers. You know what? I want to like the Jaguars. I really do, but they're way too young right now. Maybe better at the end of the season. I can see a scenario where the Jaguars struggle at the beginning of the season, and Gus Bradley, their head coach, could be fired by midseason. Get a new coach in there, whatever they're going to do. I think Jacksonville will be better by the end of the year. Week 1, no chance. I like Green Bay. I mean, I think that spreads, what do you say, 4? I've seen it at 5.
5.5 now, I believe, if I'm looking at it correctly.
Yeah, I've seen it fluctuate 4 or 5.5, wherever we want to go. I'm comfortable at anything 6.5 or under. I mean, I think Green Bay wins this game by a touchdown. Sneakily, this could be one of the higher scoring games. I think Green Bay scores a bunch of points. So DFS-wise, Aaron Rodgers, of course, a great play in this game. I think on the other side, Allen Robinson's a good play because both teams are going to score. I mean, over-under at 48 right now currently. I mean, I think we're looking at a 31-21, 31-20 type game. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a big play here. So I'm taking Green Bay, and a lot of DFS guys are available in this game.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me, and I may read into this a little too much sometimes when I'm looking at betting, but 75% of the world is betting on Green Bay. Everybody likes Green Bay. That line has moved from, I think, 3.5. I don't know where it started, but it's all the way up to 5.5 or something like that now. And I get concerned when I see that, but you know what? It's the first week, and I don't think we can read too much into it. I think I'm with you. I think Green Bay just absolutely steamrolls them. I know Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson have that connection. They're back. I don't think Jacksonville's defense can stop Green Bay. I just don't think they can. They're going to put up points. You know, the over-under is at 48, and so that's a pretty high over-under. I think there'll be plenty of points here, but at the end of the day, I think I'd be most comfortable betting on Green Bay in this one if I'm going to bet on anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me I had to bet this game between Green Bay and Jacksonville, there's no chance that I'm betting the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 1 against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, Jacksonville may play well. They have a home game, all that, but Green Bay is my choice.
I'm with you. All right, let's move on to the next game. Another noon game central, 1 o'clock Eastern. Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore comes in home 3-point favorites. 44.5 is the total in this one. Baltimore, 3-point favorites. Buffalo may be getting overlooked a little bit here. What do you think?
I like Baltimore at home. I like Baltimore at home. I just don't think Buffalo's going to be very good. Rex Ryan talks as much as he can about how good his team's going to be. I actually like Baltimore to be much better this year. I mean, I think Joe Flacco's in for a pretty good season. You know, I don't know who his top weapons are going to be per se over there in Baltimore, but I like Baltimore at home in this game. Now, you know, they have some trends that kind of concern me. One trend that really concerns me on this one, which may lead me to staying away from this game, is Baltimore 1-9-1 against the spread in their last 11 home games. That's not good. Now, on the other side, Buffalo's 0-3-1 against the spread in their last 4 home road games. So, I mean, you look at those two trends, you say bet nobody. I would probably stay away from this game, but if I had to go one way or the other, I'm going Baltimore -3.
I'm opposite of you on this one. I like Buffalo. I like getting the +3. I think that's a good number to get. I think Tyrod Taylor showed some signs of being solid last year. He has some weapons with Sammy Watkins, LaShawn McCoy running the ball. I kind of like Buffalo. I think their defense has improved. I'm worried about Joe Flacco a little bit. I mean, I think he was a little banged up last year. Is he totally healthy? I think they have a little bit of running back concerns. Their wide receivers, you know, Steve Smith's getting a little older. Aiken's a pretty good wide receiver. I know they're at home, but I kind of like getting the points here. It may be one I stay away from, but I'd probably lean the other way. If I had a gun to my head, I'd probably take Buffalo in this one. But you know, that's why we all have our own brain. We kind of have different ideas and different thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at the bets on this game, it's about 55-45 in favor of Baltimore, and so yeah, it is one of those games that's kind of split throughout the nation. But this is probably a game I'm staying away from.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Let's move on. So we have the Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. Texans come in as 6-point favorites in this one, and this is another 1 o'clock game. 6-point favorites, 44 over/under. Is Jay Cutler going to be in for a miserable season? He didn't start real well here against just a tough Texans defense. I think he may be in for a long day in Houston. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the Bears are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 road games, but no. Houston wins this game. And I'm not nearly as big on Houston as a lot of people are. I think this is the same situation that I have Denver in, is that great defense, but I just don't know if I trust their quarterback. You know, Brock Osweiler as their quarterback, I'm not real sure. But I do like Lamar Miller. You know, if you want to talk daily fantasy sports, I like Lamar Miller in this game. I know the Bears have tried to improve their defensive line a little bit, but I like Lamar Miller. I like the Texans, and 6 points. Yeah, I could probably handle 5.5, 6 points. I think Houston wins this game. If I had to predict, I'd probably say something like 24-10. Pretty low scoring game. I know the total's at 44, somewhere around there. I'm going somewhere 24-10, 24-13, somewhere around there. I'll take Houston.
Yeah, I'm with you for sure on this one, and I really think I'm going to talk a little daily fantasy. I'm going to shift it over to that, and I really think a sneaky, I don't know if it's sneaky, but a little stack you may want to look at. Some of those big GPPs we saw last year that you stacking up 3 or 4 different players from a team, and I think we actually saw Lamar Miller from the Dolphins stacks being included in a lot of those ones that kind of went off, because he is a guy that likes to catch passes. And so I would actually consider stacking Osweiler, Miller, and DeAndre Hopkins, all 3 together, in some of those big GPPs. I think that might be maybe a low-owned stack, and I think it's one of those that has the potential, if they start going off on the Bears, they could really put up some yardage and put up some touchdowns. So that's my sneaky stack on FanDuel of the weekend. I don't know. Am I crazy?
No, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I mean, when you do those stacks, you got to make sure you have a running back that can do some pass catching. I mean, because in the end, you're going to need him to. You're going to need something different, something out of the ordinary. And, of course, the top receiver, one of the top receivers in the game is DeAndre Hopkins. I just don't know about Brock Osweiler. I don't know what we're going to see out of him. I mean, in the end, he's still a pretty unproven quarterback. It is going to be a sneaky option and one that's probably not very well owned. And, to win the Millionaire Maker, you're going to have something that's different than somebody else. I don't mind it.
All right. How about Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles? The Eagles are 4-point favorites. Over-under is 41. What do you think?
Oh, you know what? I think the Cleveland Browns are going to win this game outright. Yes, the Cleveland Browns, who could be the worst team in the National Football League at the end of the season. Philadelphia decides that they are going to trade their starting quarterback 1 week before the Week 1 game. Now, talk about a bad situation for a first-year head coach, Doug Peterson. Now he's got to start Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has played, one preseason game, barely if that. Philadelphia was going to be a train wreck with Sam Bradford. Now they're going to be a train wreck with the starting rookie quarterback. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns, and I'm taking them straight up. This is my straight-up pick. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns on the road. 5-2-1 against the spread last 8 games in September. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns, and I might be crazy. I don't think many people are taking the Cleveland Browns. Just 38% are taking them betting-wise. I'm going money line in this one. I'm going Cleveland Browns to win.
Ooh, I like it. I'll definitely take the 4 points. I like that. I'm not sure if I'm going to take that money line or not. That's a risky play. But you know what? Cleveland has one of my man crushes on their team. I absolutely love Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman, you remember him. He's one of their rookie wide receivers this year. Baylor wide receiver. Love that guy, man. He just dominated for Baylor. And I just see his name, and I'm automatically drawn to Cleveland. No.
Terrell Pryor also a receiver for Cleveland Browns. And I think Cleveland's going to suck by the end of the year. But they're going to win this game at Philadelphia. Philadelphia's going to suck more, and the fans aren't going to like it there in Philadelphia. It's going to be ugly. Cleveland wins this game.
The Boo Birds are going to be out early in Philly?
Oh, yes.
All right, let's move on then. Let's go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons come in as 3-point favorites at home. They're 47.5 is the over-under here. Atlanta is a tough place to play. Tampa Bay has a tough task coming into Atlanta and playing Week 1. What do you think?
Yeah, the trends point towards Atlanta in this one. Tampa Bay 0-4 against the spread. Last 4 games of last year, 0-4 against the NFC in their last 4 games against the spread. Atlanta, 11-5 against the spread. Last 16 Week 1 games, 4-1 the last 5 in September. I mean, all the trends pointing for me towards Atlanta. I mean, I think this could be a lot of points as well. I'm not sure the defenses are that good. I mean, I think Tampa Bay is going to try to be better defensively. Atlanta -3 is where I'm going with this one.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I don't know. They really let me down a few times last year, Atlanta, so I still have kind of a sour feeling in my mouth. Devonta Freeman's kind of a stud. He had a really breakout year last year. I think he's going to have another big game in this one. I don't trust Jameis Winston at all, especially on the road. I think I like Atlanta too. This may be one I stay away from. I don't know if I can get on it. I actually may take the under in this game. I kind of like it if I can get it up at 48. I may jump on the under. I think a lot of people are going to see this being a shootout. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring than we might think.
Well, let me give you some numbers to help your cause here.
Okay.
Atlanta 6-0 under in their last 6 home games. So last 6 times they played at home, the unders hit. 22 out of the last 28 Falcons games have went under. So yeah, you're not alone here. I think the under is a good play. I mean, if you're looking daily fantasy wise, I still think Matt Ryan, Julio Jones could be a decent connection because if they do score, it's probably going to be either Julio Jones or Devontae Freeman, but I like the Atlanta Falcons at -3, and I'll go with you under 48, and I'm taking that under.
Yeah, speaking of the under, one of our partners on this project, Tom, actually put out a pretty cool little thing on Facebook, I believe, yesterday, I think, kind of about the over and under in week 1 and how, the under is maybe a decent play in a lot of these games. The majority in the public like to bet the over, and so he kind of made his cause for the under and betting the under and just in general. And so you may want to head out to our Facebook page. I think it's facebook.com/noopsports. Check that out. It's a good read, something to check out. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think unders are, because you don't really know at the beginning of the year. Odds makers don't even hardly know where the offense is going to be. So you play a little more conservative in week 1, and yeah, I think the unders are a good choice, and especially in this Tampa Bay Atlanta game, under 48 is the way to go.
I'm with you. All right, let's move on again. We're still on the 1 o'clock games. Minnesota Vikings at Tennessee Titans. The Vikings are road favorites in this game. Adrian Peterson running the ball. Brand new Sam Bradford at quarterback.
Maybe.
Maybe. Do you trust the Minnesota quarterback situation and what they got going on there? And can they really be favorites on the road and win this game?
No, because I've seen Sam Bradford.
I have too.
And I've seen the other side of who may start in this game, and that would be Sean Hill. I've seen them both, and they're both not very good. Minnesota Vikings, no. Tennessee Titans win this game, 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 games in week 1. I know that's not always the greatest trend week 1, but they've been pretty good in week 1. I actually am going to take the Tennessee Titans to win this game. Both teams that made this quarterback move a week ago. What in the world? 1 week before the start of the season, when we're making trades where the Philadelphia Eagles are sending Sam Bradford to Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings are giving up a first and a second round pick for Sam Bradford. Now the Vikings say they may not start Sam Bradford. These teams don't know what they're doing right now. I'm taking the Tennessee Titans to win this game. It's another money line game for me. I like the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, the Bridgewater injury obviously sparked some of that, but again, they were in desperation mode going after Bradford. I like Tennessee as well. I kind of like Mariota. Mariota had some big games last year in daily fantasy. I would play him, I think, in daily fantasy a little bit. I don't know about a lot. They also got DeMarco Murray running the ball. He could have a decent year for Tennessee. I like Tennessee to win this game as well. I was actually surprised they were underdogs at home in this one, so I would take the points and run in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's defending NFC North champion. That's why they are the favorite in this game. But quarterback change that late in the game. I just think, Adrian Peterson is good, but I think if you're Tennessee, you just absolutely stack the box and make one of those 2 quarterbacks beat you. That's why I'm leaning Tennessee money line in this game.
All right. Next up, Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. Cincinnati is 2.5-point favorites in this one. 41.5 over/under. What do you think? Can the Bengals, who had a pretty good year last year, can they go into New York and win?
I think this game's going to be ugly, and I don't like this game at all. This is definitely one I'm staying away from. You look at the trends, and, Cincinnati's made the playoffs a bunch. Like every year for the last 4 or 5 years, but never won the playoff game. I think this is the year all of those lack of discipline things that Marvin Lewis and his team have been doing will catch up to them. When I made my predictions, I predicted Cincinnati to not make the playoffs. Jets on the other side, I don't know what to think of the Jets. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, a nice, formidable big 3 there. Matt Forte now as their running back. It sounds good on paper. If I'm betting, I'm not betting this game. I'm just simply not. The Bengals at Jets, I just don't like it. I guess if I had to go one way or the other, I'd probably take the home team, and that's the Jets. This started at a pick'em back weeks ago. Now the Jets are almost a field goal underdog. So, you're leaning towards the Jets. 64% of the country's picking the Bengals. I'm shying away, leaning Jets.
I'm taking the Bengals. I like the Bengals to cover. This probably will be one of my plays as well. I know it's a road game for them, but I do like the Bengals. They really, I think they have all the pieces. I like Dalton. I like A.J. Green. I think he's healthy. Their running situation with Jeremy Hill, I think, solid. I like the Bengals in this one. I'm not a big Jet believer, Jet fan. I know they're at home. Some of the trends kind of point towards Cincinnati a little bit. There's some that point towards the Jets as well. Obviously, when you're looking at trends, they kind of flip back and forth a little bit. But I'm taking the Bengals. I think this will be one of mine. I hope I can get them at 2 or 2.5, and it doesn't go up to 3. But I know I may be, with a lot of the public on this one. But I do like the Bengals to win this one. It'll probably be one of my plays.
Yeah, go for it. I'm just staying away from this one for sure.
Not a bad idea. All right, let's go on. We got 2 more noon games or 1 p.m. Eastern time games. We got the Oakland Raiders at the New Orleans Saints. Huge over-under in this one of 51. Should be a lot of points put up in this one. The Saints are small favorites at home against everybody's big pick this year, the Oakland Raiders. The Saints are favorites here. Can Drew Brees, does he have a little more in the tank to beat the Oakland Raiders? I think so, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I think the Saints and even maybe the over. I mean, the overs hit 5 of the last 6 Saints home games. I mean, they are just a completely different team at home other than on the road. I picked the Oakland Raiders to win this division, but they're going to lose week 1 as I like the New Orleans Saints to score a bunch of points. Daily fantasy-wise, Drew Brees, Brandon Cooks, I think could be a good play. On the other side, Amari Cooper could be a solid play. I like points in this game. I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints to win and cover the spread in this game.
Me too. I'm not sold on the Raiders. I've been talking to a lot of people, and everybody has them picked to win that division. They have them, one of their favorite teams. I'm not buying it. I'm not sold on them. I'm selling. So I like the Saints to win this, and I like the Raiders under for season-long wins if you want to take a future bet out there at one of our sites. I like the under on their wins. I forgot what it's set at, but I would take the under on that.
Probably
on
9,
this season.
9 and 9.5.
I think that's a little high. I'm going with 7 or 8 wins for the Raiders this year.
Yeah, I mean, and I picked the Raiders to win the division because I'm not real sure where the Denver Broncos are at with Trevor Siemian, and Kansas City's one of those teams that I've just never really fully bought into. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind your pick. I'm just going a little bit of the other way, but I'm definitely taking the Saints in this game.
All right, last early game of Sunday is the San Diego Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites, almost 7-point favorites at Arrowhead Stadium. Over-under is 44. What do you think? You have any picks in this one right off the top of your head?
Well, I think my only pick probably is going to be the under in this game. Let me give you some scores from last year between these two teams. On November 22nd in San Diego, the Chiefs won 33-3. Again, 33-3. Then 3 weeks later, December 13th, the Chiefs won 10-3. Common denominator there, San Diego only scored 6 points in 2 games. Chiefs obviously have Phillip Rivers figured out. I'm going to take the under. I think it's 45 points, 40-something points. I'm definitely taking the under in this one as it's 44.5 right now. So I'm taking under 44.5 for Kansas City, San Diego.
Okay, that's a good one. Hey, I got a daily fantasy play for you in this game, and I think a lot of people are going to be on him, but maybe not. In a cash game or a heads-up game, I think you want to look at Spencer Ware from Kansas City. I think he may be starting for Kansas City. Jamal Charles is a little banged up. I don't know if that situation's completely ironed out yet, so keep an eye on that. But if Spencer Ware is starting at $5,400 out on FanDuel and probably minimum salary on a lot of places, he is a very solid running back to take. If he's starting. Now, you got to keep an eye on that, but I would definitely roster him on, especially some of my cash games, if he's going to be starting.
Yeah, there was actually some word, I believe tonight, that it's looking like Jamal Charles is not going to play. Been very limited. Obviously something to keep an eye on between now and Sunday. But I would lean towards Jamal Charles not playing in this game, which means DraftKings, FanDuel, everybody's probably going to have Spencer Ware in their lineup. But I like the play a lot, but I also love the under in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd play him in GPP. For those of you who don't know, GPP is a big tournament in daily fantasy, one of the $1 million ones. I don't think I would play him in that. simply because everyone is going to think, I'm going to play him. And so if he goes off, so did a million other people that played him. But I would probably look at playing him in the single entries or in the cash games that you're in, because I think he's just going to put the value out there if he's starting. And so I would look at playing him in those, but maybe shy away from him and go something kind of a contrarian running back pick for the big GPPs in week 1.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he is going to be a very, very popular play in week 1.
All right, we're done with the noon games. Let's move on to the 3 games that are going on later on in the afternoon, 4:05 Eastern Time. We got the Miami Dolphins at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are one of the biggest favorites. They are the biggest favorite of the weekend. They are 10.5-point favorites over the Dolphins this week. Over under at 44. Why are the Seahawks such big favorites in this one?
Because they're good. Seattle's really good. Miami's probably not. I mean, Miami's got a new head coach, Adam Gase. We'll see what they can do offensively. Dolphins, dating back to the last 2 years, 5-16 against the spread in their last 21 games. That's not very good. Seahawks on the other side, 39-19-2 on field turf in their last 60 games. That's a pretty good spread. 7-3 in their last 10 in September against the spread. I mean, we've seen before when Seattle wins games, man, they can just blow people out because of that defense. They can just swarm people. 10 points is a lot, but if I have to bet this game, I'm taking Seattle on those 10 because I do think this game could get out of hand for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle at home, their defense is good, but the home field advantage for them is just enormous, and it really adds another element. That being said, I'm a little gun shy on it. The 10 points is a lot for week 1. I mean, you never know what you're going to get. Tannehill showed some flashes early on in the year last year of being good. I think one of the first few weeks he was pretty good. I know he kind of crumbled near the end of the season and had some drama going on there. But, they're going to run Arian Foster at running back, and Jarvis Landry's a threat. I have a hard time not taking those 10 points, but I know if I do, I'm going to be uncomfortable the whole time because you just know Seattle at any time can just rattle off some major points, and they're going to have Miami on their heels. So it's probably a game I stay away from just simply because my gut is telling me Seattle blows them out, but my brain wants to take Miami, and so I think it's probably one I just stay away from personally.
Well, yeah, Pete Carroll's Seattle's never been a coach that shied away from burying teams and putting a dagger into you. So, that's why I'm leaning Seattle, and I'll take it at 10. I think if you got to 10.5, 11 points, I'd still probably take it because I think Seattle is going to win by 2 touchdowns.
So this is going to be a bet for you, huh? You don't think you're going to stay away? You're actually liking it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Seattle, and I think quite a bit of the country likes Seattle. I mean, it's one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, not really quite a bit. It's more of a 50-50, but I do like Seattle in this game, at 10 points.
All right. So next game, Detroit Lions go to the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 3.5-point favorites in this one. Andrew Luck and company. Another high over-under. A lot of points expected to be put up here with Matthew Stafford versus Andrew Luck. 50.5 or 50.5 over-under. Man, this one should be a fun one to watch, I think.
Yeah, a lot of points in this game, and I think you could play either of these quarterbacks in your daily fantasy games and probably have some success. I mean, Matthew Stafford without Calvin Johnson, what's going to happen here? I mean, Golden Tate, I think, is a good play as well because that's going to be his go-to guy. Anquan Bolden's in Detroit now. On the other side, Indianapolis, I think, is my pick here. Andrew Luck got paid in the offseason. I like what he's bringing to the table. Obviously, he's my MVP pick, which may be going out on a little limb, but I do like Andrew Luck a lot. The 3 or 4 points that you can get in Indianapolis at, they are better at home. The spread has actually went towards the Lions a little bit, which is a little bit surprising to me. But Indianapolis at home, I can't pass up. I'm taking the Colts.
I was just going to say that, and that's an automatic fishy trigger in my mind to see 70% of the nation on Indianapolis, yet the line goes towards the Lions. It moves from 5.5 to 3.5. That's a red flag to me. I don't like that. It's something that makes me want to take Detroit. I know everything in me saying to bet Indy, but this is something I'm going to take a look at because you don't see that very often, and when you do, you really need to take note of it because it typically means there's some sharp action, some big action coming in on Detroit. And, I don't know what kind of info they may have or whatever, but it's definitely something to take note of. And I'll be keeping an eye on this line because this one is a little fishy to me.
Well, I think what happened here is Andrew Luck missed practice on Wednesday and has a little back concern. But we see this 17 weeks of the NFL season. Somebody misses practice, people freak out. Andrew Luck's going to play. Colts are going to win this game, and the people who are betting on Detroit, they're going to simply be wrong. Indianapolis wins this game.
How many wins does the Colts get this year?
Well, they win the division. They win the AFC South is my prediction. So I think they can win the division at 11-5. They have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. One thing I really need to do, probably should have done before my predictions, was to really break down all the team schedules. But obviously, breaking down 32 team schedules takes a little bit of time. But Indianapolis does play one of the toughest schedules. They go to Denver in week 2, which is a little bit difficult. They go to, obviously, Green Bay as well. They have the Steelers at home. So it's going to be a tough schedule, but I do think they take advantage of their division this year, and 11-5 will win that division for them.
All right. Last game of the afternoon or of the late afternoon is the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. We know what happens when these two teams get together. The Giants are 1-point favorites in Dallas. And the over-under's 46. But you remember, these two teams, this is a big rivalry. These guys play all the time. They usually play shootout-type games. There's some bad blood between the two. This is going to be an awesome game. I can't wait for this game. I'm really disappointed that Tony Romo got hurt because I think that takes a little bit away from it. But I am really looking forward to this game. The Giants are 1-point favorites, so it's basically a pick 'em. You get to take your pick. Who are you picking in this one?
Well, let me start DFS-wise first. I think a very sneaky play, and this might sound crazy because of this game, you just gave it the headline that there's probably going to be a lot of – I think the sneaky play could be the Giants' defense, and let me tell you why. Dak Prescott, first start. I mean, are we really going to be sold on a preseason numbers of Dak Prescott? I don't know. I mean, in a GPP, if you want to win, you're going to have something a little bit different. We have seen in the past where a defense is maybe that difference. Let's say the Giants get a pick 6 and then maybe they recover a fumble and run it in. That could be the difference in you winning, $1 million as opposed to $100. It's a sneaky pick. I'm not saying I'm recommending it to everybody, but a sneaky pick is the Giants defense. Now, as far as this game goes, I'll take the Giants. I probably 2 weeks ago probably would have taken the Cowboys, with Romo starting. I'll take the Giants in this game. And 49-40, somewhere around there for the total is actually quite a bit of points with Tony Romo out of the game. I'm going to take the Giants to win this game.
Yeah, I got some big-time receivers in this one with Odell Beckham and Dez Bryant. You never can go wrong taking some of these guys. I'm really curious to see how Ezekiel Elliott does for Dallas. How he fits in, how he carries himself. There's some high hopes for him, I know, from a fantasy perspective. So I'll be curious to see, how high he's owned and how he really performs for Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott going to be a time. It was a first-round draft pick of pretty much everybody in their fantasy drafts, and he's got a great offensive line. But if you're the Giants, you have to make Dak Prescott beat you in this game. You have to. Rookie quarterback out of Mississippi State, you've got to make him beat you.
All right, we move to Sunday Night Football on NBC. I think we have a first in like 10 years here. The New England Patriots are 6-point underdogs at the Arizona Cardinals. 6 points, maybe the biggest underdog they've been in, I don't know, a decade maybe. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'm guessing you never see them as that big of underdogs. No Tom Brady. Arizona is good, and they're good at home. 47 is the over-under. Arizona's favored by 6. But I'm still leaning Arizona a little bit, I think. What do you think?
Probably another game I'd stay away from because it's hard to bet against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. But again, this is not a Tom Brady team. If this was, Tom Brady at +6, I'd be all over it. Duh. But Jimmy Garoppolo, come on. I just Arizona's defense may eat Jimmy Garoppolo up. I'm concerned Jimmy Garoppolo may not make it through this game with injury. I mean, Arizona could just pound you. Patriots 1-6 against the spread in the last 7 road games, and keep in mind that's with Tom Brady. Cardinals 5-0 in their last 5 against the spread in the month of September. I'm leaning Arizona, probably a game I'd stay away from because of the Belichick factor. 58% of the country's picking Arizona. I'm shying that way, but again, probably, if I'm not betting the entire 16-game slate, I'm probably staying away from this game.
Yeah, from a fantasy perspective, David Johnson is a little overpriced, I think, in this one, but he's going to get plenty of touches, and he was a stud last year. I always like Julian Edelman, but that's when Tom Brady's throwing to him, like you said. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, who knows? He's shown some flashes. I know he has some athleticism, but Arizona's defense is so good, and I'm with you. I think they're going to eat him up. Maybe a stay away game, but you know what? It's week 1 Sunday night, man.
Yeah, we're not going to stay away. And that's why I'm probably leaning towards Arizona because of no Tom Brady. But yeah, I'm probably not staying away. I'll probably stay away until Sunday night, and then I need some action at 7 o'clock my time, and put it on the Patriots or put it on the Cardinals.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that is Sunday night's action. That's all we got for Sunday. So we're actually going to move into Monday night. We have 2 Monday night games. We'll go ahead and talk about those, and then we'll go ahead and close out this first show. I know it's been a long one, so thank you if you're still listening. We do appreciate it. Hopefully we're providing some value for you guys. We just want to talk sports, talk the games. I think we can offer you guys a little bit of value. And heck, listen to this thing on the way home from work or a couple trips on the way home from work. And, you have a few days until Sunday. We're going to try to bring this to you every Wednesday night and get this thing published and out there, and so you guys can listen. So let's jump into Monday. 2 games. I don't think that's typically going to happen, but, week 1 is special, so we got 2 Monday Night Football games. We start with Pittsburgh Steelers at Washington Redskins. Another road favorite here with Pittsburgh 3-point favorites on the road at Washington. The total's 50. The Steelers are a solid team, but should they be favored on the road here against Washington?
Yeah, yes, I think they probably should. I mean, their offensive, I know Le'Veon Bell, obviously that's going to hurt, but Big Ben Antonio Brown. Washington did make the playoffs last year. I'm just not sure they're a playoff team this year. I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. I struggle thinking that, Pittsburgh, how I've seen them play on the road before. But, yeah, I'm citing towards Pittsburgh Steelers here at -3. Especially if that goes to 2.5, then I think I really nailed it because, obviously then, winning by a field goal and I'm going to win the game. So, yes, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers at -3.
So I have a little different take on this one, I think. I think I like Washington a little bit. What really stands out to me is the over-under in this one. I mean, when you think of Pittsburgh, you think of, lockdown defense. You think of, smash mouth, shut them down, keep them to low scoring. When I see an over-under of 50 to 51, I mean, the odds makers think this is going to be a shootout. And then when I see or think shootout with Washington, dude, their running game's non-existent. I would think about stacking Kirk Cousins, Jordan Reed, Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon. Pick your choice between some of them. But we saw last year, Kirk Cousins, when he gets hot, he can get hot, and he can put up some major numbers. If Pittsburgh competes with them, they're going to have to keep throwing all game long. Even Ben Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown is a decent stack option. Throw in, D'Angelo Williams or somebody like that with them or one of their other receivers. I don't know. I kind of like stacking this game. I kind of like the over, even though it's already a high over-under. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Ed, you made some good points there as far as, the stack for Washington. Jordan Reed we saw last year, and he's one of the bigger tight ends in the game right now. Kirk Cousins has shown that he can throw the football. Pittsburgh's defense is still questionable, so I don't mind the stack there. I certainly don't mind the stack. It just seems like a lot of points, but it is a Monday night game. It's the first of 2 Monday night games, so crazier things have happened. DFS-wise, those guys are in play. Obviously, Antonio Brown's big play as well, so I don't mind it.
Yeah, can you shed any light on the Washington running game? Who do they even have that's running? I I don't even know if I can name a running back on that team. I mean, Matt Jones, I think, is one of their running backs. Is he their guy?
Yeah, Matt Jones is the guy right now for the Washington Redskins. And, if you look at their depth chart, that's their depth chart. Was it Chris Thompson? Chris Thompson is the backup running back. Rob Kelly is also a backup running back as well. So it is guys like Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson. What about Jamison Crowder? Another guy there that I'm sure you're going to love, Josh Doxson, is on the Washington Redskins roster as well. Now, he's like their fourth guy right now. So we'll calm ourselves a little bit on Josh Doxson for week 1, but look for him in the future. But yes, the running game, Matt Jones, we'll see. But passing game for Washington is big play here.
Well, I mean, Matt Jones is even nursing injury. He's even questionable for the game. I know he'll probably play, but I'm shocked when I see that, and then stack that with the thought that Kirk Cousins can throw some big numbers, has some fast receivers, has Jordan Reed, who he just loves throwing to. Man, I like those as a pretty big stack this week on Monday Night Football. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it should be. It should be fun.
All right, we'll move to the last game of the week, and one that's very near and dear to your heart. I apologize in advance, but we got the L.A. Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams, for those of you who don't know, the Rams were kind of Rod's team in St. Louis, moved over to L.A. I think they're a good team, though. I mean, they're favored by 2.5 at a lowly San Francisco team. But you know what? When these two get together in division, anything can happen. I'm going to let you talk about the Rams 49ers because I know you're pretty close to this division. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of the same Rams team that I spent 4 years as a season ticket holder in St. Louis. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the same guys. I mean, Todd Gurley, I don't have to talk too much about Todd Gurley because anybody that's listening at this point in the podcast knows all about Todd Gurley. I mean, Todd Gurley's a stud. Now, San Francisco wants to speed up the game offensively. Now, this is going to be interesting. They got Blaine Gabbert as their starting quarterback, and they want to speed up the game. They want to play more snaps offensively. It's Chip Kelly. It's Chip Kelly's offense, which means more opportunities for the Los Angeles Rams on offense, which means more carries for Todd Gurley. Now, Todd Gurley just came out and said he doesn't really want to get 30 carries a game every game. But I don't know if Jeff Fisher cares what Todd Gurley wants. If Todd Gurley's running the football effectively, Todd Gurley's going to get the football, so he's a great play. Now, keep in mind, if you're playing a big Millionaire Maker, now I know the Millionaire Maker doesn't include Monday night, but if you're playing a big contest that does include Monday night, you could have the hammer here with Todd Gurley. It's the last game of the night. Now, one sneaky guy for San Francisco I'm going to give to you is their tight end, Vance McDonald. Yes, Vance McDonald. I think he's a decent play because, again, they want to speed up the game. Chip Kelly's been known to use his tight end. If they want to pass, Vance McDonald could be the option there. As far as betting, take the Rams.
All right. I'm not going to add anything to that. I like the Rams personally, but I think a lot of America does. I don't have a lot more to add. I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2/3 of America is picking the Rams here. Whether you get it at 2.5, I mean, anything under 3 is a great value in this game. I do think the Rams win this game. In the end, they're 8-8, but I think the Rams win this game.
All right. Well, there we have it. We covered a lot of sports. Man, I'm worn out. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. And we got to talk about all the National Football League games and then wait till injuries happen Friday and Saturday and completely change all of our picks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, I want you guys all to follow. So head out to noobsports.com. On the right-hand side, you can see all of our social media sites that we are at. Guys, follow us out there. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We're obsessed with this stuff, and we're going to be posting updates. We're going to be posting picks. All for free. We're not making a dime on this. We're just posting pics, posting content all over the place. So follow some of our social media stuff. Get on our email list. On the left-hand side, get tonight's pick. Put the name, email in there. We're going to send you a daily email. It's going to have a pick and some DFS thoughts and just some information on the day. I mean, for nothing else, you can at least understand what's going on today and who we like. It'll probably give you some offers that maybe you can't resist. Right now, there's a few, like FanPix has a $25 free voucher they're just giving out. If you use our code KNUPS, or our link out on our website. You can get that $25 free. So you can try fantasy football, daily fantasy football, for free if you haven't already at FanPicks. Definitely take advantage of that. Football season, all of these sites, man, they just give out money. They give out free money. So we like to help you find those opportunities. Again, we're not trying to sell you. We're not trying to, be pushy on anything. We just want to help. I know I wish I had a common place I could go and just know that they're trying to help me. That's all we're trying to do. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate you being around. And, Rodney, that's all I have. You have anything to add to that?
No, it should be a fun weekend of sports. And, of course, the Thursday night game, I mean, what are we looking at? Like 100 million Americans watching this game. It's going to be ridiculous. And Thursday night football, it's back.
It's back. I'm excited. I know you're excited. I think everybody listening is excited. So, all right, Rodney, that's all I have. I appreciate you guys all listening. And until next time, everybody have a good weekend and a fun time watching some football.
Sounds good.
All right, have a good night. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Noop Sports Show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our iTunes channel today. Plus, visit us at noopsports.com for more picks, previews, strategy, and news. That's KNUPsports.com.